Beyond man's upper limits. How high, how far, how big, how strong, how fast can man go? Things have progressed dramatically as we have progressed decade by decade into the 20th century. As a high school football player in the late 1950s, I had two heroes which played line. One was John Whitty from Oregon State University. The other was Paul Wiggin from Stanford. They were the two All-American linemen, the biggest in America. They were 6'4", 235 pounds. By today's standard, less than 30 years later, they would be the smallest linemen on any major college team. Things have really changed. Yet we have not reached man's upper limit. We still have a ways to go. The purpose of this video is twofold. One, to demonstrate what man can do and show you how we can go beyond man's upper limit. And secondly, to show you training guidelines so that we can achieve that upper limit. For years I have been fascinated by track and field athletes, specifically the shot putters, discus, and hammer throwers. In the late 1960s, I trained with some of the world's greatest track and field athletes in Los Angeles. I was really amazed as a football coach at how big, fast, and strong these athletes were. They were 250 to 275 pounds and ran a 4.6 to a 4.7 40-yard dash. The pro football players were, of course, much weaker, smaller, and slower. Now, as a football coach, I wanted my football players like those track athletes. And thus, the Bigger, Faster, Stronger program was born. Now, there have been some dynamic and important changes, but the essential ingredients have remained the same. Football programs have made giant strides, with basketball and baseball programs now just beginning to find out what man's potential is. I still have friends in track and field, and the track and field athletes seem to be still ahead of all the other athletes. I have 4 friends from Sweden who are throwers. They have some mind-boggling things to say. Let's meet them. Here we are at Brigham Young University, and I've asked 4 of the Swedish throwers from BYU to just have an informal interview and just kind of shoot the bull here for a while and talk about athletics and training, the differences between training in the United States and training in Sweden and the European countries, and maybe the influences of the Russian techniques on the Swedish throwers. On my extreme left, we have Stefan Fernholm, and Stefan is 6'1½", around 265 pounds, and reportedly runs a 4.3 to 4.4 40, which is kind of unbelievable, and jumps high and jumps far and is very strong and is one of the finest discus throwers in the world. And then we have SVENSON, and how tall are you, Jeroen?
6'3½", 6'3¼
And your body weight?
About around 250.
So you're an ex-NCAA record holder in the discus?
Yes, sir.
And how fast have you been timed in the 40-yard dash?
4.51.
How far have you thrown the discus?
217.3, and that was in 1981.
How far have you done the standing long jump?
A little bit over 11 feet. It's 337 centimeters to be exact.
And then on my right here we have SOREN TALLHEM. How old are you, SOREN?
Oh, I'm 21.
And how tall are you?
Oh, I'm 6'3".
And how much do you weigh?
Around 240.
I thought you weighed 250. How far have you thrown the shot put?
69.8.
And that was, for a long time, in 1985, was the farthest throw in the United States. Was that not correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And how fast do you run the 40-yard dash? Have you been timed?
No, I don't. Maybe 4.4.
About 4.40. Who's fastest between you and Stefan?
Oh, it's me.
Have you high jumped before?
Yeah.
How high have you gone now?
Well, in practice, I've done 6'10".
6'10" at a body weight of?
I was about around 240 then.
240 pounds. See, in our country, we just say that would be amazing. I would say that's an upper limit. And we have on my extreme right, LARS SUNDIN,
And Lars is also from Sweden. And how tall are you, Lars?
About 6'4",
How much do you weigh?
around 260, 270.
270,
Yeah,
260.
it's there somewhere.
Have you been timed on a 40-yard dash, Lars?
Around 4'6".
How come you're so slow? How come you're not as fast as these other guys?
I don't know.
How old are you?
24.
And what is your specialty?
Well, I'm a discus thrower, but I was cheating a little in shot put this summer too.
And how far have you thrown the discus?
199.8,
And the shot put?
64.1.
What's the population of Sweden? Anybody know?
8.4 million people.
8.4 million, and that's less than what's in Los Angeles County. So Sweden is not a very big country. What I think what I wanted to do was, you see, when one of you runs something like that, and if it is verified, I think we're saying that you're a genetic wonder that can't be repeated by training. Do you think that you're as fast and as strong and can jump as far as you can? Is that through training, or was it just you were given those abilities by God somehow?
Well, I was pretty slow when I started up with track and field. So I worked up to these results by training them.
Soren?
Yeah, I think it's both things, you know, for me at least. It's a lot of training that makes me faster, but, well, I wasn't that fast, of course, before I started, but I think it's both.
I think I agree with Soren. I think it's both a matter of having something you're born with, a talent, plus that you're able to widen that and train and get better. But I think something that's very important as far as running fast, when we start out with track and field, I think all of us started out when we were maybe 13, 14, maybe Lars started out a little later, but the things we do in Sweden includes so many varieties of sport, and when you start out in track and field, they normally have you do all the events like a decathlete. Then from the very beginning, when you're young, you learn how to run. You learn how to run, not just someone doesn't tell you to go out and run fast. They teach you how to run technically as near perfection as they can.
Yeah, I agree with what Göran and Lars said. I just want to add that I think that anybody that looks anyway normal in his anatomy and can squat a 500-pound plus should be able to run a sub 4.6.
Now in this country, football is a big sport, and our big men tend to go into that sport. Like a lineman might be 6'4", 270 pounds, 275 pounds, and he'll run, say, if he's great, he'll run like 5 flat or 4.9, or sometimes occasionally he'll have a reported time of 4.8. And the football coaches will put their arm around this lineman and say, "You are tremendously fast. I can't believe how fast you are being so big." What do you have to say about that?
I just quote a great man. Everything is relative. Right now, that's fast in the NFL, but just wait till some pro team or university catches on to what they should, like practicing right and teaching their athletes how to run and how to lift and how to stretch. Then they're not going to be fast anymore at 4.8. No way.
So you would say that a person who is 270 pounds that runs a 4.8, in your terminology, in your way of thinking, is he slow, fair, blazing fast? What would you describe him?
Well, if he doesn't consist of too much lard, I would say he's slow.
I would say somewhere between fair and slow. It does take some ability to run under 5. You have to know how to run, like I said before.
Well, I think if you train for it, that would be pretty slow for a guy like that.
Well, now you got to remember that these guys are training and they're considered fast, and they're working on their running, and they're running. If they run 4.8, they consider that's like a 230-foot discus throw. It's like a 70-foot shot put running a 4.8. What do you think?
Oh, they're pretty slow then.
A really incredible story, isn't it, thus far? Running 4.6, 4.5, 4.3 and calling a big man running 4.8 slow? Who are these Swedes? Let's find out further as we take Stefan Fernholm to the Denver Broncos and have him tested and his times and his distance verified.
Well, Stefan, here we are at Mile High Stadium here in Denver, home of the Denver Broncos. And what we're going to do now is we'll go in and we'll meet Coach Al Miller, who's the strength coach for the Broncos, and Coach Stan Jones, who was the strength coach for many years here at Denver, and also a defensive line coach. Now, they've had many years of experience. Coach Miller's been with the University of Alabama, and they've seen many, many great athletes in football. We're going to test you just how they test the Denver Bronco players. We're going to see how you stack up against them. We'll see if we can set some Bronco records here today. Tell me a little bit about running on the grass. Now, you said that if Stefan could run a 4.9, it would be pretty extraordinary on this grass.
Well, we had some corners come in here to try out for the team, and they had all had previous 4.5 speeds, and they were in the 4.7 categories here.
Now, what if Stefan runs right now today? What if he runs 4.7? What would you, at a body weight of 265, how would you feel about that?
That's incredible, because I would bet on it.
Would you say if Stefan runs a 4.740 on this very soft, high grass, that you might almost classify him as the world's fastest big man?
Yeah, I don't think anyone on this track, 265 pounds, would run a 4.7 that I know of. That would go as far as Gastineau and a few others.
Now we're going to begin the 40-yard dash, starting on his movement. Notice his form. Notice how fluid he is. Now let's get the reactions from Coach Al Miller and Coach Stan Jones.
And Coach Jones, your watch said 4.76?
Yes, and that's an exceptional time on these under these conditions. No question about that.
Now that you've been around a lot of places, how does he stack up against the big linemen at Alabama and the ones that you've seen here with the Denver Broncos in your short time here?
Well, the size that he's carrying, the body weight is, and the speed that he's already run, it lends himself to be, the fastest big person I've ever seen. There are some other ones that I've handheld timed in the high 4.8s, and they've been in the 270 and 260 category, but I've never seen one run, the times that he's running. And it's like Stan was talking about. This field doesn't lend itself to be, what we would call a very fast track.
All right, now let's go on to the next event. Now we're over here by the vertical jump, and Coach Miller, I'd like you to explain how you're going to test it to Stefan so he knows exactly how you're going to do it. But tell me a little bit about the vertical jump and what you think that, the figure that you get off that, what does that mean as far as a football player and his athletic ability?
Well, it's an anaerobic power test, and it's a great correlation between this and then the 40-yard dash time, body weight, depending on this force time, distance by the time, that same formula. But what we try to do is to find out how high he can jump, make an association between that and the 40 time. If anyone at his body weight can go over 28 inches, that's definitely world class. We'll chalk this up, and then from there, stand flat-footed against it with your eyes facing forward, and reach up and just touch, make a mark up there as high as you can. Okay? Okay, now take your hand off. All right, that's going to be 7'7".
7 feet 7 inches.
Right now, we'll chalk up every time. We're going to get 3 jumps out of it, and you can't move your feet. It's just like doing a lift or something. Your feet are going to be here, non-moving. You can get any arm movement that you want to and leg movement that you want to, and jump as high as you can. And once you reach the high as you possibly can, then mark the board, okay? And you're going to find that you may want to start out a little bit away from it so that you won't bunch into it when you come up, all right? Okay.
We got up to 10.5. It's 2 inches less than 3 feet. So that's 34 inches. Would you comment on 34 inches?
It's tremendous. I would have never thought that anybody that body weight could be able to get that high.
All right, Coach Jones?
That's amazing, really amazing, especially at that weight. That is incredible.
Have you ever seen any man that heavy jump nearly that high?
No, I never have.
Coach Miller?
Never have. No, never have.
So that's higher than any Denver Bronco, any lineman.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, now what about a back?
We've had some, I can't, you know, I know we had a couple in the 33, 34 category. I think. I'm not positive on that. But I guarantee you that's going to rank up there with anybody.
Coach?
That's equivalent to, I think, a defensive back, you know, the better ones.
All right, you want another shot, Stefan? Want to try it again? Okay, how'd you feel on that?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. I usually feel how high it is when I land. If I have a hard time standing on my feet, it's a good jump.
All right, here we go.
It's an inch and a half higher. It's 36, 6 and a half. So you use a half inch off of 3 feet.
So we got 35 and a half inches.
Now that, more than anything, he's in the class by himself with that jump right there.
Yes, there's no question that that's the best jump I've ever seen.
Stefan, how'd you feel about that jump? You feel pretty good?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. After being a little bit disappointed in running on grass 40 yards, because I'm used to running a little bit faster. On track, though, but so this makes up for it a little bit.
Okay. Now we're going to go right now to the standing long jump. You're going to do 3 of them in succession. You want to go for that?
I'll try.
All right. One of the tests that the Denver Broncos do, as I understand it, is 3 successive standing long jumps. Could you tell me a little about why you do that? Tell me why you do that and the purpose of it and what a good mark is.
All right, again, it's the same thing as what we had tested. It's a power test, and we're trying to test the explosion out of the legs and hips. And anything for an individual, his body weight, would anything 10 plus yards, 10 yards or plus is extraordinary.
What's the Denver Bronco record?
I don't know. Stan,
Well, we had, I think the best defensive lineman's done is 10 yards plus 6 inches.
30 feet and 6 inches.
Yes, he's on the team, and he weighed about, what's Simon weigh, 240 pounds.
Okay, now come over here on the grass, Al, and show me exactly how we're going to do it.
We'll start with our feet behind the line. Now, when we measure from the 10 yards up here, it will be from the back of the line, either plus or minus, however far you go. But what we're doing is this, is once you jump, you can jump as far as you want to. If you go further than that, in other words, your momentum carries you further, we'll still mark where the heel hits. And then we'll come back, you'll regain your position right here and go from there. So it's not in actuality when you hit and go and skip each time. It's not like a triple jump or something. It is just 3 successive jumps in a row. And we'll measure 1, 2, but the main thing we're interested in is the end number.
Okay, Stefan is preparing to do his standing long jump, 3 of them in succession. Each white tape is 10 feet. We're going to attempt to get over 30 feet on 3 successive standing long jumps. He did 31 feet and 9 inches. What is the upper limit?
Well, that's a good question. I thought I had some ideas on speed and vertical jump, and right now I'm going to have to rearrange my thinking a little bit, I think, on some of those. I think it's good to see a world-class athlete out of another sport come over to football every once in a while, and we can kind of get some new ideas on what our limits, physical limits.
Coach Miller?
I think the same thing. I think it's super, really. It's a great tool for me to be able to use as a strength coach, because you can take an individual like Stefan here, and our players are supposedly, and they are, some of the more elite athletes in the nation today. But what is a measuring stick? And certainly by the efforts that he put forth out here today, it's like Coach said, we're going to have to reevaluate some things. And we can also let our players see that, you know, where they are may not be exactly the optimum. And they have other levels that they can reach.
Our next event, then, Coach Miller, is going to be the medicine ball throw. Hey, now, Stefan, have you ever done this before?
Never.
Okay, so this is cold turkey, then. We call it. Oh, well, let's see what you do. Okay, Coach Jones, explain exactly how this medicine ball throw is going to be done.
Well, we ask our players to sit as close to the line as put their heels to the line and in a spread eagle position, such as we're in right now, and do pretty much a chest pass from the chest, and it's you know, they can take the ball and bring it back in and throw it out. We don't limit them like as some do with a incline bench with strapping the chest in, but we allow them a certain amount of freedom here in the movement. But they are limited to some extent because they don't have their legs strapped down. And so that eliminates a lot of the back movement that you normally could probably get into it if you had your legs strapped down. So, and our best distance in this was 33 feet.
Okay, Stefan's getting ready for his first throw. He says he's going to scream. About 29 feet for his first warm-up.
The record is, you know, like I said, with 33 feet, but it was with a 6-pound ball, the brown ball.
The brown ball.
Yeah, see, we have a different category here. We have one you used. The best we had last year was 26 feet. The brown ball we had was 29 feet, so actually
He bettered the record by 2 feet.
Yeah, he did better.
What was the measurement on that, Al?
It was 28.4.
It has been an exciting day to see Stefan do so exceptionally well in the 40-yard dash, the vertical jump, the standing long jump, and the medicine ball throw. But what about that 4.3 40-yard dash time? Well, Stefan must do this on an indoor track. We feel an indoor facility is better for 2 reasons. Number one, the bigger, more powerfully built athletes will not slip on an indoor track, and it's also a little safer. And number two, weather conditions do not vary. Wind and temperature will not affect the 40-yard dash time, and thus making those times more consistent.
Stefan, we're going to go out and run the 40-yard dash here in just a minute. And with the Denver Broncos, you ran on grass, and here at Brigham Young University, you're running on an indoor track. What's the difference?
Well, after the experience at Denver, where in the second race, my hamstring kind of spasmed up on me as the grass just let go. I didn't have enough traction. There was wet grass. And there's just a limit to how fast a big guy like me can run on grass. And I didn't have any cleats on either. So this is actually going to show my real speed more than it would on grass. As we can see on the video, we can see the grass flying behind me. So now we're going to find out my real speed.
So you feel that you're going to be able to run that 4.3 or 4.4 on the indoor track?
I hope so. I've been sick a little bit lately, but I've been pretty consistent under 4.4, so I should be able to do it. We'll have to see.
Let us go now to Brigham Young University's indoor track facility, and we'll have head track coach Clarence Robinson and head football coach Lavelle Edwards, the football coach of the 1984-85 national champions, time Stefan in the 40-yard dash.
Coach Edwards, what do you think about that time?
It'd be great for anybody, let alone a guy that's 265 pounds. It's incredible how well he can move his body and the form that he has and the strength that he has in running.
What's the fastest time that we've had here at BYU for, say, for a running back?
Oh, I think we've had some around 4.45, 4.45, something like that, but they haven't weighed 265 pounds. They've been little people, but that is an incredible speed.
Coach Edwards, in your experience now with many college and pro coaches, do you feel that Stefan would perhaps be aptly titled the world's fastest big man?
Well, at least from my experience, Greg, I've never seen anybody that big run that fast, so I don't know what there is around the world, obviously, but certainly with the people that I've had any contact with, he's as fast as any person I've ever seen.
Coach Robinson, how many years have you coached here at BYU?
This will be 37.
37. And how many times has BYU finished in the top 10 nationally in the NCAA track championships?
All I can tell you is I haven't gone all the way back, but I went back last year over the last 20 years, and our average is 7th place over those 20 years.
7th place in the last 20 years. All right, Stefan, how'd you feel on that run?
I ran better. I've done better races in my life, but considering I've been kind of sick lately, so it was a fairly good race technically. I'm not as powerful as I used to be, but my technique, I think, is a little bit better.
Why aren't you as powerful as you used to be?
Well, this is my off-season. The season stops over in Europe when I throw discus in the beginning of September. And then I laid off my training, so it's a month and a half now that I haven't trained anything, so I should.
I feel real sorry for you. Now tell us about a 4.34.
Well, that's fast enough to be a sprinter. I mean, you're in the sprint category in track and field when you can do that. And one thing about Stefan, I think if he got there, he'd break the tape.
I think so.
It has been a phenomenal experience to test Stefan. He has definitely gone beyond man's upper limits. Now, to help each athlete and coach reach their potential, we have conceptualized 10 upper limit training guidelines, which must be followed. The first upper limit training guideline is that free weights, not machines, must be used to realize upper limit success.
Okay, what about, say, training on a machine like Nautilus or some other kind of machine to strengthen the legs only?
Well, I don't like machines because they tend to, or they do isolate the muscle group that you're working on. They just put you kind of like in a rack, and then you just work on one thing. And that's not what life is all about. When you do any kind of sport, you run, you jump, and that involves a lot more muscles in the same effort than what it does to do, like, say, a leg extension. You just work mostly or almost only on your quadriceps. Now, when do you ever do that? Running or jumping? Never.
How important are machines for a good athlete trying to reach the upper limit?
Only, I would say, as a to complement your workout.
We call it auxiliary exercise or helping exercises?
Yeah, or after an injury.
Or after an injury for rehabilitation.
Our second upper limit training guideline is a core lift concept. We do not select 10 to 15 exercises and make them all of equal importance. We must select 3 or 4 lifts which involve the total body for the base of our workout. The lifts we do after the core lifts we call auxiliaries. Auxiliary exercises are selected with 2 criteria in mind. First, select auxiliaries which will help us win in our sport. And 2, auxiliaries are done as time and energy permit. In the off-season, about 5 auxiliaries is an optimum number to do after doing 2 core lifts per workout. Now, let's find out what our core lifts should be.
What are some of the most important lifts you can do in the weight room as far as becoming big, fast, and strong?
I'll mention 2. I would take the clean or any similar exercise to the clean, and the squat.
It's the squat and a full body exercise, which is a snatch or a clean. I would prefer the snatch, but it's harder to do that one. The clean is also excellent. Anything that resembles that is fine.
Oh, I think the squat is the best one, and I'd choose deadlift before cleans.
I think squats and heavy hamstring curls.
How do you feel about the bench press? How important is the bench press for an athlete?
Not very.
In some sports, like if you're a lineman in football, it's extremely important to do bench press or something similar. I think it's very important, and it is also an important part of throwing the shot or the discus. Everyone does bench press.
Now, you do the bench press a little differently. Where do you put the bar?
Yeah, right here at the neck.
And how much do you do from the neck?
400.
400 pounds from the neck. So you do that because to get your shoulder and arm in a better angle in relation to the shot put?
Yeah, that's right.
How important is this bench?
Well, I do the same kind of bench as SOREN does then. I think that's a really good exercise for the upper body.
As for the bench, even though Stefan does not think it's too important, he has done 500 pounds on that lift. We do not have the time to go into detail in every one of the core lifts. We have other videos to describe each core lift and auxiliary lift in detail. But we would like to show you in some detail the two most important of the core lifts, the squat and the clean. And Stefan will show you some incredible feats of strength on these two lifts.
We're going to take a look at his technique. You can see he puts the bar on his shoulders, not on his neck. He gets his stance. It's an athletic stance similar to his discus stance. He looks straight ahead, not up or down, but straight ahead. Notice the back. And we say spread the chest to get the back in the proper position. It should be locked in tight. The locked in tight position, concave lower back. Okay, tell me about the belt and why you use it.
Well, it's obviously for back support, but the back support comes actually from the stomach side of your body, not the back, because when you arch down like this, whatever's in your back can't support you when the weight is pushing you forward. So that's why it's polythene belts wider, as wide in the front as it is in the back. And those ordinary belts you have, they're real thin in the front. There's a reason for that, because they're made for Olympic lifters, and they need to bend down. They need to get a lot of movements in their stomach area. But this is actually to prevent your stomach movement, to give you support in the front here.
Okay, now as we examine the proper depth for an athlete to do on his squats, he goes down to the thighs are right parallel. I'm looking at the top part of the thigh for an athlete, right down there. Oh, Stefan, why is it important to go down to the parallel position?
Well, it seems like that's the depth that's going to get your quads best in your back, and also your glutes. And if you go any shallower than that, it seems like you're missing an awful lot of strength. That's why.
Okay, now you've been squatting now for how many years?
10 years.
Have you ever had any knee problems?
Never.
You know, I've been squatting now for 20 years without any knee problems. In fact, I can run. I feel great. Tell me how important the squat is for an athlete.
Well, it depends on what sport you're in, but the sport...
let's take football, track, basketball.
It's very important. That's one of the most important exercises, because it covers so many muscle groups of your body. It covers your hamstrings, your calves, if you do them right, and your quadriceps and your back. And it's just a great exercise if you do it right.
Okay, Stefan, you're getting ready for a big squat here at 595. You're wrapping your knees. Is there any special way to wrap knees?
Yeah, you should always think of wrapping them from the outside and going inwards.
Okay.
Same way on this one, you go from the outside and go inwards. So you force the patella in its track, because the patella tends to go outwards when you squat, and you want to keep it in place so it doesn't wear uneven on your knee, on your femur and your tibia.
Do you wrap for all lifts or just real heavy ones?
I do some lifts without wrapping, just to get used to doing some without the support, because it does give you some support. So I do some fairly heavy lifts without wraps too.
Okay, thanks, Stefan. Go ahead and wrap them. Let's go for it. Now, Stefan's going to go for 595, which is a warm-up for him. He likes to squat with his sweats on.
And I often break him too.
All right, here we go. We've got 595 pounds on top. Puts the bar on his shoulders and not his neck. Gets a good athletic stance down. Easy rep. Easy rep. Okay, now let's count up the weights here that Stefan's going to do on this next attempt. Now, each one of these big plates is 45 pounds. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 45s on, and then a 5 and a 2.5 to make it exactly 700 pounds on the bar. Now, it should be noted that 700 pounds puts Stefan in an elite class for an athlete. Very, very few athletes can squat this amount. This is about 120 pounds underneath his maximum effort when he's at the peak of his training. It also should be noted that Stefan does not use any super suit that the powerlifters use. He just has sweatpants on and some wraps, and away he goes. So let's see what he can do with 700 pounds. All right, super effort. 700, big one. Come on. Right. Good stance. Down. Hop right. Hop, 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 hop. Get your hip forward. Throw your hip forward. All right, good job.
That was an effort.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Okay, 700 pounds. How's that feel?
Heavy.
Heavy.
I'm not in shape, I can tell you that.
Okay, now Stefan's obviously not in shape where he was. He is in the peak of his season. What's your maximum squat on the peak of the season?
I've done an 820, but that was a real max. It was a real good day. So this, I haven't been lifting for 2.5 months now. So that's why it's down. As we said before, my track season is over.
Right.
The end of August. So but I feel pretty good about 700, not training for 2.5 months, you know.
That's phenomenal.
The foundation of strength and power for an athlete is centered in the hips and in the legs. That's why it is so important to include the squat and clean in your core lifts. Now let's take a look at the clean.
Stefan, would you explain to us what you're going to do right now?
We're going to do reverse grip clean. It's basically the same technique as the ordinary clean. It's just that I use the reverse grip.
Why do you use the reverse grip?
Well, a couple of reasons. I broke my wrist several years ago, and I've had problems with it ever since. It's hurting. And racking the bar as an ordinary clean would put a lot of stress on my wrist. And also it hits this area of my body a little bit more than the ordinary clean. And as I throw the discus, I want a little bit more strength up here. Those are the major reasons why I'm doing that instead of...
Okay, so this is very similar to a power clean, and you're doing it to develop explosive power and learning how to use your hips properly, rotating your hips properly?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so how much weight have you got on here now?
I got 140 kilos, which is
308 pounds.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now, how long has it been since you've done this lift?
About 3 months.
3 months. So you probably can't do it very well, can you?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out. Okay, 308 pounds. You'll take a curl grip. You adjust the belt just like on a power squat. He's going to use straps. Stefan, go ahead and tell us about the straps now. Why do you use those?
Well, sometimes you have a hard time holding the bar with your hands. And you don't really want to work on your hand strength. It's not that important. So you want to take that load off your mind. So you just lock him in with the strap.
Are sweats good to use during this lift?
Yeah, but not any kind of sweat. You want a real slick surface so that the bar can glide easily on your thighs. If you have cotton pants, the bar can get caught up in your cotton pants, and that could hamper your lift tremendously.
Would that be the same for a clean?
Yes, of course.
All right, let's do it. Okay, he gets his position very close to the bar and cleans it right up there. Excellent lift. How'd that feel, Stefan?
I felt pretty good. I'm a little bit weak upper body right now. I could feel it when I was holding it, but my legs are doing pretty good.
Can we go a little higher?
I don't know. I probably could, but I don't really see the reason for that.
I do. The technique for a clean or a snatch or this reverse grip curl is the same. He wants to get very close to the bar with his shins. His shins are just about touching the bar right now. His toes are well underneath the bar. As he gets ready, you can see his head look straight ahead, and the lower back is in, it's not out, and his butt is down. He's doing the work with his legs and hips. His arms are perfectly straight. To get the back in a great position, we say widen the chest or spread the chest. Now, as we look at the body position now, the knees are over the bar. He has a narrow stance, which will come to a wider stance as he racks the lift. Now, Stefan, what's the most important thing on the first part of the pull from let's say from the floor to just to the hip position?
Well, you got to position yourself so that you're real close to the bar, and you got to pull it straight up. And then there's a kind of a double pump when you pass your knees. You want to get your knees out of the way so the bar can pass straight up, and then get the knees back under so you can use that the hip push or whatever you want.
Can you show us that in slow motion or a little slower?
Yeah, I can try. It's pretty hard with lightweight though, but I can try.
Okay. We have just a light weight on here right now.
Here I'm positioning myself in the right position. My knees are over the bar. There's no way in this position the bar can go straight, so I got to get them out of the way.
Right.
This is the way you do it. Use your legs. You get your butt out. And here, get them in under.
Now, as you straighten up and your legs were straight, you did something with your shoulders and your trapezius muscles. What was that you did?
It's just a natural shrug that comes from having your arms hang out, relaxed as far as possible, and then you get the power from your legs and your back all the way up through, and the bar is accelerating so fast that the tension you have on your trapezius is just going to be released, and it's going to help the bar go even faster.
Now, I noticed that that your legs were completely straightened up, your shoulders were as high as they could possibly go, and your arms hadn't even started bending yet. Is that what you should try to do?
Yeah, they're the weakest part of your body. So you want to have them, the hardest thing is to accelerate the bar. It's like a car. It's not so hard keeping it running at 100 miles an hour, but getting it up there. Same with the bar, just the speed, the acceleration is hard to get. When you have that, you can maintain that easily with just your arms, but you don't want to start pulling your arms and try to accelerate the bar with your arms. It's impossible.
Let's take a look at that again from another angle. Okay, now after you've completed the shoulder shrugging movement, now what's important after that?
To getting under the bar. So you want to squat down some and just position yourself straight under the bar. You don't want to be back away from the bar or being too far under. You want to be straight under the bar, and that takes some practice. But you just want to drop straight down. When you're straight up, you want to pull straight up, you want to drop straight down, and move your arms under if you do clean, or like I do, reverse clean. Get straight under.
Okay, now you actually rise up on your toes, don't you?
Yeah, and if you don't, like when I use a lighter weight, actually I jump up because there's so much power applied the right way so that there's an excess of power, so I'll just jump up.
Okay, let's see the finish. Let's view from another angle. Now, with a heavier weight, Stefan's technique may actually be better than this lift here. See, Coach Miller, would you give us some comments on the power clean?
Well, we feel like it's, it's definitely one of our core exercises, and when we do test for it, we train it all the way through our different cycles that we go through, and we matriculate on the way down to where we're actually, training for the 1 rep max.
And with your defensive linemen or your strongest players, what's the highest that you have, or around the highest that you have?
We had a young man, Andre Townsend, this year, clean and jerked 355, and he was just a hair off 365.
Okay, so that's the top mark for the Denver.
That's the top mark. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This year.
This year, how about?
Well, hopefully we'll better that.
Well, I understand that. Now, how about at Alabama? Did you do the clean at Alabama?
Yes, we did.
What was the highest clean there?
Let's see. We had a couple of kids that we had quite a few, I think, in around the 345, 330 category. I think we had half a dozen.
Now, Stefan can get 400 plus. Then, with his speed and vertical jump, what would you say we have?
That places him definitely at the top of the criteria.
Some people feel that you can't transfer, if you develop some explosive power in the weight room, you develop the ability to power clean a lot, that you can't transfer that over to the football field or into the discus arena. But apparently you feel that the more explosive power that you develop in the weight room, you can transfer that out and become a better thrower.
You can, if you're strong and explosive lifting weights. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can transfer it, but it takes a lot of work, but it's possible. It's not easy. But
how do you feel about this?
I think that once that the power is created, speed, strength, and what Stefan was talking about, the pulls, the cleans, the snatch, so forth, I think if you practice your individual sport, whether it be throwing or defensive tackle or an offensive guard, then if you practice that, then that can do nothing but enhance it.
The power clean, some people say that it's a very dangerous lift. Have you ever had any serious injuries as a result of the clean, or any injuries?
I was telling some of our players the other day that were bench pressing, the event that I've had more injuries in than anything else has been the bench press.
That's been my experience. The bench press is the most dangerous lift in the weight room. And with the Utah Jazz, we do hang cleans, and I can see here from the boxes that you have here that you do some of that type of lifting. But with the Utah Jazz, I've been with them now since 1981 for starting our 4th year, and we have not had any injuries as a result of doing cleans or squats or box squats or anything. We've been pretty fortunate. You've cleaned before, haven't you?
Yeah,
What's your max on the clean for 1 rep?
I've done 420.
420 pounds now. Did you use straps with that? And
Yeah, I used straps, and I was taped up like this to prevent any wrist injuries.
now on this power curl or reverse grip clean, what is your max on this? Are we going to go for a PR now?
Yeah, this is a PR by 4 pounds.
By 4 pounds. And how much weight do we have?
We have 358 right now.
358 pounds. Come on, Stefan. Fierce. Fierce. Come on, do it. Supreme. Come on. Come on. Easy, easy. Upper limit training guideline number 3 is consistency. You must make a commitment to always make your workout.
The consistency of the work in the off season has been increased, heaven knows how many times, fold over in comparison to, say, 10 years ago. What I'm saying by that is that people are now staying here and working out that probably would have made their home elsewhere. Speaking from the college level, which I've had most experience in, they stay in the summer, either go to summer school or to stay and work in and around the area of the university, so they can have access not only to the strength coach but to the strength training facility.
Yeah, I remember now when I was a strength coach at Brigham Young University, 1971-73, in the summer, there was nobody there. And so they lost really 3 months. There wasn't much they could do at home. And now you were telling me earlier at the University of Alabama, just before you came here, that you had, what was it, 115 players in the summer?
We started off the first summer I was there, and we had something in around 30 to 40 players, and then it grew to around 80, I think 85, and then the next summer we had started off with 115.
Upper limit training guideline number 4 is sprinting. We recommend 2 to 3 sprint workouts in the off season. The sprint should be short, 10 to 40 yards. We also recommend that all athletes beginning even in grade school be taught to run properly with great form. You must practice correctly to run correctly. Every athlete should have his form analyzed. It is very important to be timed twice a month. These times should be charted to show progress. For those in inclement winter weather conditions, 20-yard dashes can be run indoors instead of running 40s outside. It's also a good change of pace. About a 2-second difference exists between 20s and 40s. So a 5-flat 40 is roughly equivalent to a 3-flat 20. Upper limit training guideline number 5 is intensity. This is the area where athletes, for the most part, can really make improvements. Intensity. You must come into the weight room with a purpose and an objective. You are there to reach your upper limit. This takes a very, very serious attitude. You must make every set and every rep count towards your ultimate goal of reaching your potential. Upper limit training guideline number 6 is flexibility. You must make time to work on flexibility at least 3 times per week. You will be amazed at Stefan's gymnastic-like flexibility. After being taught flexibility properly, this is something the high school athlete can easily work on at home.
How important is flexibility?
Let me just refer to something that I read from a Russian weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting compendium that was put together and translated into Swedish. It says that 92.8% of all soft tissue injuries, muscle injuries, are the result from too short of a muscle, which is a result from not stretching enough.
There are 3 basic methods of stretching to increase flexibility. One method is bouncing, which is not recommended at all. In fact, this method can be dangerous. The second method is PNF, or proprioceptive nerve facilitation. This requires 2 people. Knowledge is required. It takes a longer time, and it's hard to find 2 people to get together to stretch with this method. The static method is the one that we recommend because an athlete can do this on his own and he doesn't have to find a partner or hunt for a partner any time that he wants to stretch. We go down to a point where it just starts to hurt, where we feel tension, and then relax. It's a very slow and controlled method. We stay in this position for about 30 seconds. Stefan starts his stretching program with the calf stretch. It's better to have a wall to balance yourself and to push against. There are 2 exercises, one with a straight knee, the other with a bent knee.
Then we also have a hip flexor exercise, which I think is very important for running, because if you can't stretch out your leg all the way back, it doesn't matter how much you can squat, you're still going to be way behind what you can do. Then I do like this, and I try to push my hip downwards like this towards the floor and keep my shoulders up and my head up and push against this knee to give some support for the shoulders. And also look for the pain. That's really important.
What else do you have?
I got an exercise for the gluteus maximus. I'm going to show it right now. Now you get this leg, which you're going to stretch, or the glute you're going to stretch. You get it over here. You try to get up as high as you can towards your body. And then you twist your upper body this way, as far as you possibly can. And then bring your body down. So you feel the pain in your gluteus maximus. That's where you should feel. So if you're doing it, if you get pain somewhere else, you know, like in your knee or in your quad or in your back, you're doing it wrong.
Another angle.
You can see how this is stretched out right here. And it sure is hurting. So it's working.
What are you stretching now, Stefan?
Stretching my hams and my back.
Do you like to do it on a box like this?
Yeah, it's easy because you don't want to get your toe out like this. It's easy to keep it, you know, centered. So you don't have to sit down on the floor and having problems with keeping your balance when your other leg is out this way. You can drop that down and concentrate on your hamstring and your back.
This is called static stretching, the way Stefan does it. Very slow and controlled, and he just holds it. Very.
This one stretches the adductors in your legs. This one stretches the adductors in the leg. And then I do these for the quads. You can do this laying down, do one leg at a time, but I do both at a time, save some time. Just go down like this, try to bring my hip up, so I get a good stretch on my quads, and try to get my knees down in the ground. And I just stay in this position for about 30 seconds. Do only one for my upper body, and that's stretching out the pec. Now you can do that a number of ways. I grab a doorpost, and I just stretch it till it really feels right up here.
There are 2 common tests for flexibility. First, you can see how far Stefan can go down with his legs straight. He can easily put his palms on the floor. And second, sitting in front of a box with the legs straight and measuring how many inches the fingertips can be placed past the edge of a box. Stefan measured 9 inches past the edge, which demonstrates that he has the flexibility of a gymnast, thus proving a very, very powerful big man can also be flexible and should be flexible. Upper limit training guideline number 7 is records. It is very important that every athlete keep a very accurate record of everything that is done in his training program.
How do you feel about record keeping?
I've done that for 8 years.
It's the only way to be able to have a systematic approach of which way you want to go.
Upper limit training guideline number 8 is that you must vary your sets and reps. The booklet in the background, made by Bigger, Faster, Stronger, is a place that you can record all your sets, all your reps, your agility, your running, your flexibility, and plyometrics. The BFS Super Set Rep program virtually eliminates all your plateaus. If you have been doing 3 sets of 10 reps, 1 set of 15, 5 sets of 5, you no doubt reach a plateau very quickly. You cannot do the same workout time after time. You must alternate your lifts, percentages of maximums, and alternate your sets and reps. The BFS system allows you to alternate your lifts, sets, and reps in such a way that a specific workout is repeated only every 5th week. Our system has 2 simple rules. First, establish your records, and second, break those records. Whatever system you do use, the bottom line is that you must vary your sets and reps. Upper limit training guideline number 9 is plyometrics.
What do you think about plyometrics?
We use them a lot.
Now, but you were telling me earlier, Stefan, that you did some things in Sweden where you jumped off a box. Would you tell me how you did that?
Well, I had 2 big boxes. They're about 4 feet high, and I put them about 4 or 5 feet apart. And I used to jump up from one down on the floor and back on the other one with as straight legs as possible. I didn't try to damper the impact. I try to resist the impact as much as possible and come up as fast as I could. So I did that over and over again.
So when did you start doing that? What age?
I was probably 17 years old.
And how long have you been doing that type of training?
I stopped doing it. I did it for 2 years.
So from 17 to 19, do you feel that helped you?
It puts quite a lot of pressure on your knees for being as heavy as I am, depending on what kind of surface you land on. But I'm doing other kinds of jumps now, but not as violent as that. That's a hard impact landing on the ceiling floor.
What other kind of jumps are you doing?
I'm doing standing triple jumps, standing long jump, vertical jumps.
Stefan, why do you jump?
A couple of reasons. To get some strength, and you wouldn't get as much strength from that as you would from the squat. And it's also to teach your body how to use all the muscles that you have to interact those and perform a jump, because there is some technique. You can't just tighten all the muscles in your body and just think you're going to jump, you know. So that's 2 good reasons why I do it.
How often do you train formally on jumping? During the season or during the just prior to the season?
About 2 times a week.
Besides doing the standing long jump and the triple long jump, Stefan loves to work on his vertical jump by jumping up towards a basketball hoop. Another great plyometric exercise is jumping over hurdles. In this picture, we show a man jumping over a 36-inch high hurdle. Upper limit training guideline number 10, technique. During the off-season, it is critically important to work on the techniques or skill of your sport or sports 3 times per week. You must do this in order for your body to adjust to the increases and improvements of your size, strength, speed, flexibility, and jumping performances. Write down a goal of what you're going to do and how many times or how long you are going to do it. For example, shoot 25 to 30 free throws, 10 minutes of ball handling drills, shoot from a favorite spot, throw for 30 minutes, run 25 perfect pass patterns, pull 10 times to the right, 10 to the left, 20 pass rushes, 25 takedowns, 100 swings at the baseball. Work on your starts to help you fire out. This will give you the technique that you need for your upper limit potential. Now it's up to you. You must now use the principles of hard work, dedication, and total commitment in a balanced program to propel you to your greatest potential of going beyond man's upper limit.